me again. Time for a boring old fat whiny woman, bald money, and drip chin wearing bad hair doing obligation video time. Appreciate the emails, but really don't bother watching individuals who are not quite right make inferences about me. Just don't do that. I give this much about their opinion. Sorry, but do appreciate the email. But just letting people know for future reference. I don't care. I ain't gonna watch it. Just ain't. Yeah. And why? Well, that kind of goes into today's video. The church is pretty specific about things. And we need to be mindful of that. A lot of people are wanting church discipline on people, and people, I hate to tell you this, but this is not church. There is no you to me interaction here. This is not an assembly. This is called social media. It is not church. There is no way this can be church. Now, I understand where some people get this kind of confused, because it's like, oh, I'm going to be preaching in my car and give me some money, y'all, so I can go on my ministry. You know, and they use the lingo. I get it, but it still ain't church. It still ain't church. And we need to be mindful of stuff like that. Because if you let one thing in, why not let it all in? Give you an example. Let me move this window out of my way. Here we go. If we go to Romans 16:17, this is where people are like, church discipline, I have to mark and avoid you because I don't like the music you like, or I don't like this, or God told me in a dream, which is nowhere in Scripture. Oh, heavens to Betsy. That is just absolutely fantastic. How do you come against that? God told me in a dream that you're this way or that way, or you're doing this and you got private sin. And it's like, what? Yeah, where do you get that in Scripture now? And they want to use this Romans 16 and 17. It's like, mark and avoid him because God told me to tell you this, you know. And it's like, maybe we need to read that verse and see what we can actually mark and avoid them for. So if you turn Mark 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark and avoid them which cause divisions and offenses. Oh, right there. They're causing division. However, the verse continues. Mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. That is vastly different, isn't it? You know, I've been accused of being dead in doctrine, and why I am dead set focused on doctrine, making sure doctrine is right. Yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. It is only the doctrine of Christ that saves. That's 2 John. It is only the doctrine of Christ that saves, and anything that you going about changing, you've changed it from being Christ's doctrine to something else. If you go to Acts 2 and 42, you see, and they continue steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine, in fellowship, in breaking bread and prayers. You need to be careful with the doctrine, very much so. And there is reason for this. Yes, absolutely. If you allow other things to manage to slip in, you have changed the doctrine. It is no longer Christ's doctrine. You have put in traditions of men, which we see in Matthew is a no, 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 no. And doctrines of men and traditions of men, will get you straight to hell. As Scripture says, it states that. It isn't like, oh, well, I can do this and I'm still good. Yeah, sure. No, it don't say that. Now, there's other reasons you can do church discipline. First Thessalonians 5 and 14, if a person is unruly and disorderly. And also, if you go to 2 Thessalonians 3, 13, 14, those who disobey the doctrine of faith. There's that doctrine thing again. And also, if you go to 1 Timothy 6, 3, and 4, those who deny the doctrine of faith. Seems that doctrine is kind of important, just a little bit. Just a little bit, y'all, but it really is. Which is crazy. So you see, if we just allow just whatever we want in, things can become a bit crazy. Now, if we go to 1 Corinthians 11, 24, 25, now I'm going to read the scripture, and then I'm going to give you an example, which is a bit out there, but it's not far from what people would allow. 1 Corinthians 11, 24, 25. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner he also took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as you drink in remembrance of me. Now, if we were to allow just any old thing to come in and change the doctrine, what's to stop people from saying, hey, that communion supper, can we substitute Doritos and Coke for that? Or Oreos and Coke? Yeah, let's do Oreos and Coke on that. Unleavened bread and wine. I want Oreos and Coke. Doritos and Coke. That's a good idea. Then you might think, well, Rose, that's a bit far-fetched. But it is not as far-fetched as you think. When you have different places, Matthew 18, Titus 3, Romans 16, 2 Corinthians, talking about the way to discipline and the procedure to discipline an individual. And then you got Matthew 5, 13 through 16, talking about maintaining the standards of the church to the world. The world scrutinizes the church more than it does politics. So we need to let our light shine to the world. Now, if we say, yeah, God doesn't like that sodomy thing, but I tell you what, since they allowed these men to get married, why don't we let them preach? That's a good idea. That is just as crazy as Oreos and Coke for the communion. I would even say, let's let women preach. Let's let women get up there on the pulpit. Even though it expressly says not to. How's that any different from your Coke and Doritos on the communion table? A lot of people would say it doesn't say not to do this in the church. It doesn't say not to put Coke and Doritos on the communion table. But it doesn't say not to do a lot of things in Scripture. It does tell you a way and a procedure how we are to do things. And we need to make sure we keep that. We need to make sure we keep the doctrine correct. And not just throw in whatever traditions of men we want. I know this is going to be met with criticism, and that's fine. That's fine. But we do need to keep the doctrine correct, and we do need to be aware, that is, mark those who cause divisions and who are contrary to the doctrine, not to another individual. So, yeah, just want to point that out. But as always, hey, just read that scripture and have that fantastic day.